Hello, my name is Austintamargo, and today I want to put forward this idea that's inspired by Antonio Gramsci, Italian communist in the early 1900s. Antonio, before I go into it, I want to say my favorite quote on Antonio Gramsci is he said, "To collectively come together to the truth, that is revolutionary." And that's one of the main things about Marxism is spreading class consciousness to the workers and the oppressed classes, making them aware of the situation in relationship to the production process and the economic order of things. Um, but anyways, Antonio Gramsci put forward this idea of the cultural hegemony. A lot of communists before him talked about the economic conditions and how the class system oppresses all the masses economically. But Antonio Gramsci talked about how the ideas, beliefs, the customs, all of the culture that the masses have, that the people of any society have, are directly, not only influenced by, but the product of the ruling class and their culture that they make for themselves, and which through controlling the economic order of things and their philosophy coming from their position in this position above others, this high position over the masses. This is what you could also call divine right, when people believe that they are in this position because God put them in position, and this is a prevailing belief from the earliest form of class society. In the beginning of the patriarchy, out of tribalism, when we had the first state societies, um, pe- before people could explain things scientifically, why things were, not only our world, like the natural forces, but before the 1800s, before Marxism, people weren't educated on the class nature of society. Like they were before. People thought that this is just the natural order of things. This is how God or the gods wants it, or whatever superstitious dogma they may have. And so this dogma is directly linked to the cultural hegemony. The idea of the cultural hegemony is the product of the what I would call the dogmatic hegemony, which the dogmatic hegemony would be from the beginning of the class system, class society. Because back then, when class society first started, thousands of years before the year zero, they could not explain why things were, you know. So let me put this another way. In Marxism, we believe that we understand that people's ideas are the product of their material conditions and their relationship to their environment, and further, as we get into class society, their relationship to the production process. Whether they're a worker that's toiling all day, every day for the benefit of the ruling class, or whether they're the ruling class, which has all this education and believes it's their right to be there because God put them there or something. So in the earliest times, how class society developed is humans developed better methods of not only obtaining but manufacturing resources and storing resources like agriculture and stuff like that. So because of this, people amassed more property than others, and some became rulers over others. And this is when slavery was first introduced. People would be enslaved to other people who owned all these things. So when this happened, they would say, this is karma. This person has good karma, from his family line or something, or God blessed them. God blessed them with their position, because they could not. The prevailing belief in this whole dogmatic hegemony that the ruling class tries to keep up. It doesn't want the workers to be scientifically educated, especially educated in the science of Marxism, because this dogma directly benefits the ruling class. By believing these things are the way they are, because this is a natural order of things, for there to be one group of people who are above everybody else and everybody else works for them. This was first put in the idea of the minds of the first ruling classes. The first ruling class humans, the first humans on this earth, thousands and thousands of years before the year zero, who had this more property and who enslaved others and created their own kingdoms or whatever. They had this idea came to them because of their position over others. This directly influenced their mind because the material conditions of a person influences their psychology and what they think. So they thought, I'm here because God put me here and I'm supposed to be here doing this, and this is how the way things are supposed to be. So then with the cultural hegemony, they spread this belief to all the masses. So all the masses accept this idea because the ruling class sets the culture, and what is accepted, what are the cultural norms of society and the beliefs of the society. So as we've gone through the social development, we've gone from the first system, the slave system, to feudalism, to capitalism, and as some nations are becoming socialist, and we see socialism, it is developing in parts around the world, and is only going to keep on developing in more places. It's the greatest importance that we do, like Mao Zedong says, constantly always engaging in ideological struggle against all incorrect ideas, because like I said, the cultural hegemony is directly linked to dogma, the belief in dogma. So when someone says these are just the way things are, or this is the natural order of things, we cannot agree with that. As communists, we have to say no. These are the actual facts. This is the reason that these people are in charge from inheritance. And this is not the way that things have to be. We can have an organized economy where all the people are participating in this economy. And so also this is a great thought about this. So the mindset of so many people in the United States, I've noticed my whole life, I've been in a lot of different places from the east to the west coast of the United States. I'm from the United States. People, a lot of people, especially in rural areas and even in urban areas too, they don't even think about the government or anything. They don't even think about there being a better form of government. They think that all government is just corrupt, and that this is just the way things are. So when people agree with this, allowing this to be propagated and accepted, it is wrong. And as communists, we have to make sure we correct people. As Mao Zedong said, even if it's an old friend or acquaintance or colleague or whatever, or a coworker, whatever, we have to tell them the truth, and we have to speak the truth, and we have to say, no, that's not just the way things are. This is a historic process that has unfolded, and we should come together to work to change it, because there is a scientific way to structure society that benefits all the members. So I'm trying to think the main idea I was just trying to present is that basically, like I said, we have to struggle against dogmatism. Also, so explaining more how dogmatism and the cultural hegemony are linked. So Antonio Gramsci talked about, as long as there's class society, as long as there's one ruling class above another class, then there's always going to be the cultural hegemony, right? So understanding that the cultural hegemony comes from dogmatism makes it more easy to understand how we can completely end the cultural hegemony and, not only oppression economically, but oppression socially, in all forms, because the reason that people accepted the cultural hegemony in the first place and believed what the rulers told them was because they were not educated. And it's crazy that somebody's screaming outside my motel room. But because because they like I said, they didn't know. And there wasn't scientific advancement to explain what was going on. But now that we have this scientific understanding of not only natural things but even social development, then once we construct socialism, and even now we need to practice this, as communists. um, the more we combat dogmatism with science, with actual facts, and the more we don't accept dogmatism and say, no, I'm not just going to agree with you, this is wrong and these are the facts. The more we do this, the more we can actually end, the cultural hegemony, and the true liberation of the individual, which can only come from the liberation of the collective, can be achieved. People can actually have their own ideas and own experiences as humans. Their life won't revolve around this cultural hegemony that this ruling class has constructed. Their life will revolve about whatever meaning they choose to find in it. So, because they will know, what the world is, and not, like I said, that's why education is one of the most important things in our struggle. All communists know that education is the most important thing. And that's why whenever a socialist nation, um, whenever a nation becomes socialist, they make sure there's a lot of countries that were really underdeveloped before they became socialist in the past century. And once they became socialist, they made the literacy rate went from like in the tens or 20s in some cases up to like 99% or 100%, because education is the most important thing. Because you know see, here's another example that I think anyone who's watching this video, who enjoys this talk right here, will find interesting. When I was like a year or two ago, I was in Atlanta. I was homeless. I was traveling around on my unemployment money in the United States, passing out pamphlets and things I wrote to people in a lot of different cities. I came across this man who was from Haiti, and he was a police officer, and I was talking to him about it. You know, and because I would talk to whoever I ran across and give him a pamphlet, and he was telling me he was from Haiti, and he's telling me he visited Cuba, and he said, oh, Cubans are some of the smartest people I ever met. They're educated. They know what goes on in the world. They're completely aware of things that people in the United States, they're not really politically educated at all. He said everybody's educated. They know exactly what the world is and their place in it. He said, oh, but they're all like sheep. And so basically he's trying to say that, yeah, everybody's so educated and stuff like that, but they just follow what the Communist Party of Cuba and the like I said, the communists say or whatever. But Che Guevara actually has a really great uh, writing on this, which I think was a speech, but you can read it, and he talks about socialism in Cuba, and how much the people of Cuba, even in the first few years of it starting, how they had so much faith in the leaders, and the people running the country, the intellectuals and the communists in charge of running the economic order of things and managing the industries that are set up for the people, and that are publicly owned, and so I would suggest people to read that. It's called Socialism and Man in Cuba by Che Guevara. And so the thing is that once people are educated, they have a choice. They understand that, like this guy says, his case was that they were completely educated. They knew exactly what they were doing. So if they were so educated, and they're still supporting, the leaders and everything that's going on, and they're even passionate about it, then that's something to speak for itself, and Che Guevara even wrote this speech to talk about the even then, and even since Marxism was founded, people have been saying that it's all a dictatorship or of one person or something. No, it's the dictatorship is of the working class, where the working class actually have the power in the government, and that's why there's so much capitalist propaganda in capitalist countries saying it restricts freedoms, because it restricts certain individuals from amassing great amounts of property and capital in form of factories and stuff like that, and only use it to benefit them instead of all of the people benefiting from this thing that they all collectively work for. The factory, all those workers collectively work to make that factory run, but the boss is getting all the money, the CEO. So yeah, dogmatism is a very important thing to combat against. It's directly linked to the cultural hegemony, and my point is that once we evolve past dogmatism, once everybody in the world is educated and understands not only the natural order of things, which capitalist countries, they'll teach you the natural order of things. Trees do, plants do photosynthesis, and all this, right? But once everybody's educated on the whole political world and the class nature of things, sociological, how things are really run, and that there is a solution, that this is not just something to despair about, because a lot of the propaganda in the United States, that's what I was trying to say, is that in the United States, like I said, there's so much dogmatism. People truly believe that this is supposed to be happening because they have no education in explaining. I mean, there is education. You can find it. But many people are not introduced to this. Communists aren't doing enough work in the United States to reach the masses and to get this message out to the people and to spread this class consciousness, because they see no alternative. And when the brain sees no alternative, and it can't be explained, because this capitalist propaganda, it can't really explain or justify anything that's going on. Our education system can't explain or justify anything that's going on. In the United States, the education system teaches you the current state of the world, but doesn't teach you what we need to do to progress. How to stop the disasters that are occurring with climate change and things like that. The actual real not in the now, issues the world are facing and how we can solve them. And once people realize that there is a solution to all these social problems, to all these economic problems, to all these natural disaster problems, there is a solution. And if you want to be part of the solution, you have to reject dogmatism, and you have to accept that the solution is science. Once we do that, once people understand that we have to reject dogmatism in all forms, rejecting the idea that things are just the way they are just because there's some force we can't understand or some higher power to it, that's when the cultural hegemony will completely be done in society, when individuals will completely be free. And just speaking this right now and coming to this understanding in myself, it is very powerful to me. So I hope anyone that's watching this understands this, that the true liberation of a person's mind, their soul, their being, their will, the true liberation of the human will, because the masses of the working class, the oppressed classes, their will is not their own. Their environment. Che Guevara speaks really good on this on Socialism Men in Cuba. Human beings are oppressed by their environment. They're coerced into participating into the current order of things. As all organisms are, right? But this order of things doesn't always benefit them, and it's not always in their best interest, and it's not truly what they want for themselves. But because there's no alternative, they accept this. And accepting this without educating yourself further on the truth of why this is, why do I have to work for this man and give him most of the money that I make with my labor and only receive enough to survive, and trying to figure out why this is, and then trying to understand and accept that there is a solution and you can be part of the solution by contributing towards the revolutionary cause and fighting for socialism. This is an understanding I think everybody needs to come to, and this understanding, the more people understand this and accept this and reject dogmatism, the more we will be towards ending the cultural hegemony of the capitalists in the United States. So this is so important to our struggle in the United States. As far as I can see, probably in Europe too, and a lot of other nations. I can speak from my experience here in the United States, and I can see it as I'm speaking it. We have to help liberate the minds of the people, as also serving the needs of the people, making organizations and stuff to serve the needs of the people and help them. And in this, while we do this, and while we organize the people together, it's very sorry, I feel like I'm dragging this out myself, but it's so powerful to me right now, just being in this awareness that this is the actual answer, the solution to actual freeing people's minds, freeing people's bodies from the ruling class. The actual freedom, and this just thinking about this is like, man, like it's exciting, because human history we have come so far, from just complicit animals who completely just reacted to their environment, to people who formed their own thoughts. And then we've come far enough to not only liberate ourselves from our oppressive natural environment, but this is the way for us to liberate ourselves from ourselves. and trust me, that does make sense. Liberate humans from humankind. So, man, I'm very excited about this what I'm talking about right now. So if anyone appreciates this, understands this, and watches this, please leave a comment, like the video. But comments are what I really want. I hope more people will engage and watch this and hear out everything I have to say, and give me some feedback and try to constructively add to the conversation, because this to me, I feel like, is the most important thing in the world, not only for humans but our planet, because the capitalists are killing our planet. So it's like, this to me is actually the most important thing in life, is to spread that class conscious awareness so we can truly liberate people. So thank you everyone who's listened. Thank you so much.